Well, there's a unique exhibit at the Bishop Museum right now, but time is running out to experience it. It's called American Heroes, Japanese-American World War II Nisei Soldiers and the Congressional Gold Medal. And joining us with more this morning is Herbert Yanamura. He's a World War II Nisei soldier, and Noelle Kahanu. She's the Community Affairs Director at the Bishop Museum. Good morning to you both, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Noelle, why don't you talk about this wonderful exhibit and how soldiers like Herbert are being honored?
Bishop Museum was lucky enough to be one of 7 museums across the nation to host the Congressional Gold Medal. It's a Smithsonian traveling exhibit, and we opened March 9th. It was a very limited run, and this Sunday is the last day. It has the actual Congressional Gold Medal, of which Herbert brought his replica that they presented to him. But the one that we have is solid gold. And what we did on the, it's on the 2nd floor of the Castle Building, and on the bottom we also have all these community exhibits, some that came from the Japanese JCCH and other Kapiolani Community College that really tells the full story of the World War II Nisei veterans.
Mr. Yanamura, you're in the MIS, or the Military Intelligence Service. Why don't you talk about your service back then in World War II?
Well, I served as a linguist in the Pacific, understandably, because as a military intelligence service, I didn't, although I was with the 442nd originally, I volunteered for the 442nd, but there was a demand for linguists, so we were recruited out of the 442nd into the MIS system. And that's how come I got involved in it and went through schooling, and then following that, the first combat that I experienced was Leyte, the Leyte invasion in the Philippines. And then following that operation, I was in on the Okinawa campaign, which turned out to be the biggest battle in the Pacific during World War II.
You served at a time when Japanese Americans were discriminated against, yet your team continued to push forward. What are some of the lessons that people today can learn from that time?
Well, discrimination is something that you would find, we've experienced that, not personally, but one thing that I really noticed was in Mississippi when I was with the 442nd. I saw how at that time people were called colored, today they're called blacks, but when I saw some of the discrimination that was being treated, the way they were treated, I said, gosh, you know, we sure are fortunate not to go through this kind of thing in Hawaii. But when I saw how the black people were treated in Mississippi and the South, I thought, oh, that was terrible. So that's the kind of thing that so we, in the World War II, the AJAs on the Pacific coast were treated that way, and they were all uprooted and sent into so-called relocation centers. But they volunteered, a lot of the eligible guys volunteered out of the camp into 442 and the MIS. So that's the way we showed our loyalty to the country.
It is so important to keep these stories alive. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us this morning.
Yes.
Herbert Yanamura and Noelle Kahanu, thank you so much for joining us. It's going to be a wonderful exhibit at Bishop Museum. And to see this interview again, you can head to the top video section of our website, KITV.com. It is 6:15.